Coming up on The Wrong Exit, traffic turmoil. A tragic start to the new year with fatal crashes claiming the lives of 3 young people. We will take a look at what law enforcement is doing to scale down on the number of these preventable tragedies. And filling the gaps in law enforcement, how MCSO has stepped up our recruiting efforts in the search for the best candidates. Plus, above and beyond, the good deeds that some never see. And of course, this week's rapid fire. This is The Wrong Exit. Let's roll.
Welcome back to another episode of The Wrong Exit. The number one complaint I get as I move through this county is traffic. Red light running past buses that have their stop bars out, speeding, traffic crashes, and the list goes on. But today we have with us our lieutenant that's in charge of all things traffic related. Lieutenant Roscoe, good to have you on the set today.
Sir, glad to be here.
Lieutenant Roscoe, tell us a little bit about yourself and your day-to-day responsibilities.
So I'm the lieutenant over our traffic unit. Our unit has 16 people in it. I have 2 supervisors, 5 CSAs, and 9 deputies that are assigned to the traffic unit. And our goal out there every day is to keep the public safe by conducting our enforcement, getting out there doing crash investigations.
So how do you know where to go? Get up, you come to work. How do you know where to send your people day in and day out?
So we have targeted areas that we like to hit. Certain areas like 710 out there in any town, US 1. A lot of areas that have a high amount of vehicular travel, first thing in the morning, in the afternoon. We also receive a lot of complaints from the public that are out there, and they see the issues that we can't see behind the scenes. At that point, we'll take our guys, we'll try to get them to target those specific areas.
So we have monitored our fatalities throughout the years. In 2022, we kind of peaked at 37 fatalities. And you actually commanded the unit and got the unit moving in the direction of writing more citations, which is really not our style, right? Our preference would be for people just to drive the speed limit and listen to us and not have to educate them through finding them.
Correct.
So in the past 2 years, tell us about your statistics as far as crashes and then how many citations we have written and where we currently are year to date.
So our crash numbers over the last several years, they've started to come down slowly, but our enforcement efforts have gone up greatly. Just last year, in the year 2024, we issued just a little bit over 9,000 citations here as the Sheriff's Office. In 2025, we've gone just below 17,000 citations that we've issued. So what we're seeing is our efforts are out there as far as doing enforcement, trying to get people to slow down and trying to get them to do the things that they should be doing, are helping to reduce those crash numbers.
So you're telling me you've written citations of almost 17,000 people, roughly 10% of our population?
Yes, sir.
How am I supposed to get reelected with you guys out there doing that?
Well, we're keeping the public safe out there. We're trying to get those numbers down. Our ultimate goal is to make sure these people are getting home and as safe as can be and to their families at the end of the night.
This year we started off on really poor footing. We're 12 days into the year, and I think we're looking at a backdrop which said we had 3 fatalities this year, but that changed over the weekend. Now we're at 4 fatalities, all of which are 21 years old and younger. How does that affect you and the traffic unit and what you do to try to mitigate those scenarios?
So a lot of these areas, too, that we're seeing these fatalities, the first couple of crashes we saw are in areas that we typically don't get a lot of vehicular travel. It's out towards the interstate and Bridge Road. Sea Branch Boulevard is a residential roadway for the most part. The other crash that we had was out on 710 Warfield Boulevard. Warfield, we've put a lot of effort, especially in the last year and a half, to really reduce those numbers. A lot of the crashes that we get out there are speed related, and we've issued a lot of citations out there trying to get the motorists out there to bring their speeds down. In these other areas, we're doing as best we can as far as patrols are and trying to keep people to do the things that they're supposed to be doing.
Tell us real quick about your traffic surveys. People call in, they complain about a specific area. You guys go out and gals go out and put up traffic signs that capture the information. Explain that a little better than I did.
We have a unit, it's called a radar data collection unit, RDCU for short is what we call it. What those devices do, they look like speed limit signs. We can set them up so it'll tell you how fast you're actually going. So the sign actually will give you feedback on how fast you're traveling down the roadway. Those signs also will clock every single car that goes down the road and collect. Now, it doesn't tell you that it was a pink Cadillac coming down the road when we go to look at the data later, but it'll give us a number of vehicles that travel down the roadway at a certain amount of time during time frames, what the fastest vehicles are. And we also can help see patterns for when the heaviest amount of traffic comes down those roadways, the most amount of violations. At that point, we can also use that information to target those areas, knowing that if typically we're getting a lot of violations from 3 to 4 p.m., then that would be an ideal time for us to get out there and conduct that enforcement.
So when you come in the morning, that's one of the things you look at when you allocate your manpower.
Yes.
You look at that data that comes in. So
Yes.
we're not just going out there and blindly putting deputies around the county. We have information or heat maps where we go out there and we target those areas.
So we'll do it based off of that and also our crash data. So there are reoccurring intersections that you're going to have a heavy amount of traffic crashes. For example, Indian Street and Dixie Highway is one of our main intersections that we have for crashes. It's an area that we also try to target for enforcement, trying to reduce those numbers.
How many crashes did we have last year?
Last year, we were just below 5,000 for the total year.
Let's go back to those fatalities because that can affect each of us. We talk about different crimes that occur in the county, and most crimes, there are random acts of violence, but most crimes are related to something, robbery, domestic related, drugs, or something going on. But traffic crashes could be any of our family members who could get killed just driving down the road, minding their own business. How does that affect you and your deputies who are responding? And in some of these cases, in 2 of these cases, actually, in the last week and a half, they've drug either dying or lifeless bodies out of cars that were on fire. How does that affect your manpower that are out there doing the job?
Well, our deputies, they're people just like any one of us.
Right.
They're men and women. They wake up every day just like any of us. They sleep at night. These are things that they have to live now, knowing somebody made a choice to do what it is that they did, and whether they took their life or somebody else's life. Now, somebody else has to live with that decision that somebody else made. So it affects them in the long run.
And so I would imagine that plays into their thought process when they pull a car over and somebody's not wearing a seatbelt and they write them a citation for it and they seem heartless. They're really not being heartless, right? Some of them have just left traffic fatalities and they're remembering what they just saw, and now they're writing a citation trying to prevent yet another one.
That's the one that we just had out there on Indiantown. They said a witness said the vehicle was traveling over 100 miles an hour, that they observed it prior to this, what they believe. But then we come out there and we stop these other vehicles out on Indiantown or out in Indiantown on Warfield Boulevard, and they're trying to tell us, oh, well, it was a one-time event. That one-time event, though, could be a life-changing event for somebody else, and our main goal is to prevent that one-time event for somebody else to occur.
So there's a misconception out there that we make money by writing citations. So I think you just said we wrote 16,000 plus citations last year. How much money does the sheriff's office make out of writing citations?
We don't make any money out of the citations. That money doesn't go to anything.
Exactly. And I don't think people understand that. Our deputies are out there writing citations because it's the right thing to do. Keeping people safe, it's the right thing to do. We're not making a dime out of it, but we're trying to keep people from going through the horrors of what other people have gone through. Let's talk about e-bikes real quick. That's something that's kind of come on us pretty strong in the last couple years.
About
and
the
you
last 2-3 years,
specifically been working on legislation, trying to do something to help us have a statute that backs up our enforcement. Tell us about that.
So we do have a meeting next month. The county is looking to open up ordinances to help us with the e-bike laws and everything out there. So e-bikes, one of the biggest issues that or misconceptions that everybody thinks is it's an electric bicycle. It's okay. I can do what I want. But parents typically they buy these electric bicycles for their kids. They're way overpowered. They go way too fast. And then once they hand it to these kids, they just let them do whatever they want to do with it. They'll be out in the middle of the roadway riding, doing wheelies. Now, I'm not saying every child out there is doing this. And adults are doing it too. But it's a hazard for that child, and it's also a hazard for the other motorists that are out there because they're trying to avoid these kids. They don't want to run them over in the middle of the roadway. And unfortunately, of all the bicycle and e-bike crashes that we've had this year, typically it's going to be the e-bike that's going to be at fault.
So let's put it in perspective. You and I both have a hobby that we love. We both ride motocross. You kit up. You wear back brace, neck brace, boots, pants, helmet, everything, right? Are these e-bikes as powerful as the motorcycles that we ride on tracks?
Some of them are. And that's the other part of it too, is just like that dirt bike that you bought or any four-wheeler. They're sold under retail for off-road use only. The same thing on a lot of these e-bikes or e-motos is another term that they're using to designate these. They're sold for off-road use only, which means they can't be utilized on sidewalks. They can't be utilized in a road.
So as a parent, I'm a parent, so are you. Wouldn't you imagine that if a normal parent brought a dirt bike like we ride home, took it out of the box and cranked it up, they would say, no way, no how are you going to ride this thing? But an e-bike, because they're quiet and they seem harmless, they're the same amount of power, they're the same amount of risk, are they not?
Yes, they are. Absolutely. They can be. I said a lot of these e-bikes, they can go 50, 60 miles an hour, which is your normal dirt bike can travel at those speeds as well.
So we've talked about a lot. We need to take a quick break, and we'll try to unwrap more when we get back.
Hi, I'm Detective Danny Fantini, and this is my Rapid Fire.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs,
Sunglasses or ball cap?
sunglasses,
City streets or back roads?
back row,
Action movie or comedy?
comedy,
Fast food or home cooked meals?
home cooked.
Paper map or GPS?
No, GPS now I'm used to.
Sneakers or boots?
Sneakers.
Netflix binge or YouTube clips?
Represent YouTube clips, you know?
Sunrise or sunset?
Oh, I'm a sunrise.
Quiet ride or talk radio?
Talk radios keeps you entertained.
And that is your rapid fire.
Woo!
Welcome back to part 2 of The Wrong Exit. We're going to continue kind of unwrapping what Lieutenant Roscoe and his traffic unit do on a day in and day out basis. So, Lieutenant, we were talking about the amount of crashes that we've had last year. We're at 4 fatalities already this year, which is really alarming for all of us. What are we doing as a sheriff's office to try to head that off and make sure that this isn't a continuing trend?
We're out there writing citations at this point. I think over the years, we've done a lot of educational stops and try to get people to get compliance that way. We're at the point now, we're trying to save lives. We're trying to make everyone get where they need to be safely. So at this point, we're here writing citations. And I'd hate to say we're not going to feel bad about it because we want to see everybody get home and get where they need to go.
So let's talk about what goes in the citation. We issue a citation. They have to pay the initial fine, and then it affects their insurance. What goes into that? How does that affect their lives?
So looking at any citation, a speeding citation by itself, it's starting at $128 that person's going to have to pay right off the bat, and 3 points on their driver's license. At that point, those 3 points, your insurance companies are more than likely going to raise your insurance rates over the course of the next 3-4 years. So you're going to pay a higher premium for the next 3-4 years. So it's not just going to cost you the $128 base fine. Again, then this can go all the way up to a $1,100 fine as well, just for that citation, depending on how fast you're going. But it's not just going to cost you for that citation alone. It's going to cost you the next several years paying those insurance premiums. So that little bit of a ticket turns into a lot of money down the road.
So again, our goal really is not to write citations. If we came out every day and people went the speed limit, your people could focus on other things because we got a lot of things to do.
Absolutely.
I hear that regularly. Doesn't the sheriff's office have better things to do? What's our response to that?
This is the best thing we can do for the public right now. This, as you said before, this is our number one complaint that we get. The problem with traffic is everybody experiences issues with traffic. This isn't just a one-off shoplift or something like that. This is something everybody on their way to work, to the grocery store, to church, taking their kids to school, they experience issues with traffic. They see that person that's passing improperly or goes flying past them, passes a bus when they shouldn't pass a school bus. And that's the stuff that aggravates them, and that's the stuff that causes road rage incidents. It's one of the biggest issues that we see here. It is the biggest issue that we see here at the Martin County Sheriff's Office.
So you mentioned the word road rage. I'm glad you did. Let's transition away from looking at the fatalities to, you have an aggressive driving unit. What does that unit do on a day-to-day basis?
So we try to key our aggressive driving unit, now they're unmarked Tahoes, into finding those violations that are out there that most people, when they're out there and they're trying to drive fast, they see a marked patrol car and they know, okay, let me slow down until that patrol car pulls off into a shopping plaza or to somewhere else or just turns down any other street, and then they continue that behavior. The goal of the unmarked units is to be out there and stop the worst of the worst. They're the ones that are going out there targeting those aggressive drivers or people that are cutting everybody off and are speeding and hoping to get away with it.
There's clubs that have popped up that think they can run kind of roughshod on the whole county. What are you all doing with those clubs?
So those clubs, we take notice of them. We know what it is that they're doing, their movements that they're doing. We're tracking them everywhere they go. We do deal with outside agencies as well that do the same kind of intel sweeps that we do. And what we can, if they're doing any violations, we'll track them down and we'll find them, we'll stop them, and they're going to get written. Or if they need to go to jail, they're going to go to jail.
Let's talk about DUIs for a minute. That's still a big topic. After all these years, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, we've done presentations at schools, and we're still arresting people for DUIs. Let's talk about that.
So DUIs last year, we ended up with just under 400 for our agency, DUI arrests that we made. That's an unacceptable number as far as I'm concerned. With the amount of stuff and availability that there is today between Uber, Lyft, all these other different ways that you can get home and not have to drive when you know you've been drinking. It's just an unacceptable excuse to say I had no other options. There's a phone a friend. There's so many different ways that you can get home and not put yourself in jeopardy. And a lot of these crashes that we're experiencing, these serious bodily injury crashes, fatalities, more often than not, they're going to be involving some kind of impairment.
So a DUI arrest, what happens to the offender? They get arrested. That's the short end of it. What happens to them financially in the litigation process?
So, like you said, that is very much so the short end of it. It doesn't just end there. Just like getting written a regular citation, if you get a DUI arrest, there's a few things that you're going to have to look at this point. You're going to need legal representation, and it's going to be drawn out over the course of the next few months that you're going to be dealing with this, trying to deal with the case in court. Right. On top of it, depending on what it is that you do for a living, you may or may not have a job when you wake up in the morning. If you're a professional driver in any way, shape, or form, if you're an Amazon driver, if you work for FedEx or any other professional capacity that you work, your job may not want you there anymore if you get a DUI.
So, Lieutenant, I know we've talked about a lot, but is there any message you'd like to give to our public as we wrap up today?
The bottom line is the Martin County Sheriff's Office is here to ensure that you are safe out there on the roadways. With that said, if you're out there committing violations, if you're out there breaking the law, if you're speeding, you're cutting other cars off, you're going to get stopped and you will be cited. There's not going to be any brakes on this.
So you heard it from the lieutenant. Don't get pulled over by our traffic unit because they do have a mission and their mission matters. As I always say, we have the best employees here in the state, if not the country, and Lieutenant Roscoe is part of them. Up next, we're going to talk about our recruitment efforts and some of the good things we have in the pipeline as far as employees coming to work here for you, the citizens of Martin County.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Watson. This is my rapid fire.
Stealth or loud?
Stealth.
Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee.
Day shift or night shift?
Night shift all day.
Hot weather or cold weather?
Cold weather.
Beach day or mountain day?
Beach day.
Movie night or live concert?
Movie night.
Texting or phone calls?
Phone calls.
Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Rock or country?
We'll go rock.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
And that is your rapid fire.
All right.
Welcome back to another segment of The Wrong Exit. And with me now is Detective Michael Bravo, who is part of our recruitment team here at the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Detective, welcome.
Welcome, sir.
So, Detective, tell us what actually recruitment is. It's a big word. What does it entail?
Yeah, so our recruitment efforts, they kind of branch out. We have so many different positions we're hiring for at the Martin County Sheriff's Office, from aviation techs, deputies, corrections deputies, and all the civilian positions we have. So it's more of trying to reach and find all the best qualified candidates for that and for us.
So anyone that's hired here at the Martin County Sheriff's Office would come through you or one of the other investigators before their name is added to our roster?
Yes, sir. Absolutely everyone. So all the civilian positions, all the way up to our law enforcement deputies.
So in our field, hiring as a whole can be difficult. I know every agency in the entire state, if not the country, is trying to hire. You see all the bonuses, the benefits, all the things that are added. What do you do day in and day out to try to make Martin County the best location for them to come work at?
Yeah, so it's extremely competitive, especially right now. It seems as if there's almost a shortage of finding these qualified applicants. Part of that entails that it's a tough job. There's a lot that goes into it. With that, I think the culture of Martin County kind of sells itself, so it makes our job a little bit easier. They want to come do police work, and they see the police work that we put on, and they want to be a part of that. So it's more so just reaching that audience, letting them know what we have to offer, and getting them on board.
So as sheriff, I tire of people coming from other agencies or other states, getting hired here, and then leaving us after a couple of years. So we've had a push for locals to get hired who are connected to the community, want to work and live here. How's that gone?
Yes, sir. So what we've kind of done is throw a wider net. Typically, we would look at certified deputies, meaning they already went to the academy, they work for another agency, or they're just finishing up the academy. So with the non-certified deputy search, we've interviewed over 700 prospects. With that, we've settled on around 20. So it's very stringent, and we've always had that reputation of being very picky on who we hire. Obviously, we have high expectations. You have high expectations, and the citizens have high expectations. So we're not going to settle in that process of needing to find deputies and fill a spot. We're going to still shoot for the absolute best.
So our issue is not lack of applications, it's lack of what we perceive to be qualified applications coming in the door.
Yes, sir. Like we touched on, you've done the job, I've done the job. There's so much that goes into this. It's not just put handcuffs on bad guy, take him to jail. There's going to be times where you're helping someone who's locked out of a car, or you're helping someone with a question, and then 5 minutes later, you're chasing someone through the woods because of something they did. So we need someone who's personable, who has good judgment, decision making, also has those physical capabilities of needing to turn it on when they do. And yeah.
So put this in perspective. John Budenseek walks into the sheriff's office and he wants to be a deputy. What's the process? What are all the hoops that I have to go through to get a job at the Martin County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir. So you're going to go ahead and just start with an application on our website. From there, HR will process your application and schedule you for a board interview. So you're going to sit on that board panel in front of captains and majors. From there, if you pass that, you'll have a sit-down interview with one of two of our background investigators. From there, it gets a little bit more in-depth. From there, if you pass that, you'll have the drug test, polygraph, and psychological evaluation in some sort of order of those three. From there, you will eventually move into the background investigation stage, where we will process your background file and dive just even deeper into it. And then we go ahead and take it to sign off, introduce the file to you, and hopefully we can get them on.
I want to spend a minute and talk through the process real quick, because I think it's important to those that might watch this that want to get a job here. And I want to give them the advantage of knowing what to do. So when they walk in the door, we expect them to be dressed how?
Suit and tie, well-groomed, nice haircut.
How do they stand?
Straight, good posture.
Where do they look?
In the eyes.
What do they do with their hands?
Good handshake, and then keep your hands off of the table.
How do they address people?
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
And then on top of that, a lot of times we are hiring youth that are just coming out of high school, but we're looking for, and I'll kind of answer my own question, we're looking for your athletic background, your educational background, any connections to local churches, schools. Like, tell us about yourself. You can't just come in and say, I want a job, or we'll do what?
Absolutely. You need to, and we tell us the applicants, set yourself apart. You have to bring something to the table. Not having any prior education, not having any criminal history, just because you're clean per se, doesn't mean you're a great candidate. We need bring something to the table, whether that's team sports, extracurricular activities, college, clubs, churches you're a part of, something that sets you apart, something where it goes, yeah, we need this person a part of our team because they can contribute this.
And we're trying to determine in a snapshot if somebody's qualified for an entire career of law enforcement. So I know it's an extremely difficult task, and we appreciate what you're doing. We're going to transition here in a few minutes to one of the classes we currently have out in Avon Park and talk about that for a minute. We're going to go on a break. Thank you.
My name is Deputy Tatiana Levinar, and this is my rapid fire.
Rock or country?
Country.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Beach or pool?
Beach.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Movies or TV?
TV.
Sneakers or sandals?
Sandals.
Burgers or tacos?
Burgers.
Dogs or cats?
Both.
And this is your rapid fire.
Yes.
So we're back on set with Detective Bravo, and he's actually been extremely insightful. If I was trying to get a job, I would listen to this interview and then follow his advice. But I want to transition real quick. You have worked hard, and your units worked really hard to get recruits in the door. And we currently have a group over in Avon Park that are going to police academy together. And it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's the largest group we've ever had go through the academy at one time.
Yes, sir. So this is the largest group we've ever put on through an academy. So some of the benefits of being a non-certified deputy sheriff candidate is we will sponsor you to go to the academy. You will get a salary to attend the academy. We'll pay for your academy. And then upon graduating, you will move to an even higher salary, our full-time deputy rate, and start with a career with us. So
that's what you were talking about earlier. That's where we've spent some money. We've invested money getting qualified candidates in the door. Let's look at the video that keeps running while we're sitting here. There's an entire group. Those are not all of our future employees, correct?
No, sir. So 15 of that group are ours, and then we have Deputy Martini there serving as the drill instructor for that class.
And Deputy Martini's that jacked, actually quite mean-looking fellow that's doing the cadre work there.
Absolutely.
So we sent Deputy Martini out there to kind of start forming that class right now, today, into the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Our culture, how we talk to people, how we respond to calls for service. So that's a huge benefit to our community once these recruits get out on the street.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a big part of it, is kind of instilling that culture that we touched on earlier of why the sheriff's office is, in my opinion, the best sheriff's office to work for. With that, he can instill that, show them kind of what we look for, the do's and don'ts, and kind of guide them well. And we kind of tried to touch on that even before with this class. So I think a hard part of retention in any job would be there's no connection. With that, we've assembled this group over time, and what we've done is we've met twice a week doing jujitsu here at the sheriff's office or other workouts, so they can build that and start that camaraderie, get to know other employees here at the sheriff's office. So there's more of a relationship built in, and it's not just a random place I start to work at.
So what's our projected time when these recruits will graduate the academy and then enter into the field training process here?
Yeah, so they're 1 week in. It's a 15-week academy. It's going to be a quick one. What they're embarking on is going to be hard, and it's first time in the history of the state, as far as I'm concerned. They're going 5 days a week, and they're having longer days. With that, there's some of the problems we have, or I wouldn't say problems, but with the colleges host the academies. And with that, there's holiday breaks, there's spring breaks, all of these things that the students have to adhere to, where we found it with the instructors that we have hosting the academy, we're willing to work through those breaks. And so they're going to work right through. And with that, they'll be done a lot sooner. By the end of spring, where we should have them.
So we're going to do the same amount of training that normally takes place in a 6-month period in roughly 3.5 months.
Yes, sir. So it's the same amount of hours. They're meeting the FDLE requirements as far as hours go. But with that, we can go ahead and gloss over some of those holidays where a lot of the times they're employees of ours already. So they would come here, but it's kind of hard for us to give them something to do. They're not certified law enforcement deputies yet. So they'll hold their weight. They'll look over policies or whatever they can do. But with this, they can go ahead and work towards that goal of getting here and being a cop.
So as I mentioned, they're in Avon Park. They're an hour and a half away from here. What's their living conditions? What are they doing? Are they coming home at night? Are they with their mom and dad? What's happened with them?
Yeah, so it's very interesting, and it really is a cool setup for them. So it's at South Florida State College. They have student-athlete dorms there. So as they are students, we were able to situate them there. So they're in the dorms. They're starting the day at 6:45 in the morning for flag formation, and they're finishing up at 6 p.m., 6:30, 6:45, around there, whenever PT finishes. And they're going back, getting their studies, preparing their dinner, food for the next day, and then on to class again.
I don't think you're correct, Detective, because I talked to Martini out there, and he's having 9 o'clock meetings. So this whole just 12-hour days, I think these are more like 15-hour days, sir.
So that's the beauty of them being our employees. They're being paid to be there, so we are going to protect our investment in a way. Really, it's look out for them. But with that, yeah, we're going to meet with them if something needs to be addressed. We're going to meet with them if, their shoes aren't polished the way we like. We're going to meet with them if the grades aren't where we want them. So it really is great that we get to ensure the success. They get to go there and lock in. There's no distractions. There's not much to do in that area. It's very rural. So, and with the long days and how Deputy Martini has them working, they're spent by the end of it. So, but they're doing a good job.
So Deputy Martini, let's talk about him for a minute. He's an extremely squared away deputy. He came to us as a retired Connecticut trooper. He's a state trooper. And troopers do seem to like their shine boots a little more in their hats. We love you, troopers, if you're watching. But Deputy Martini was in the recruiting job that you're currently in, and then he volunteered to go out there and run the recruits through the academy. And again, drill in the mindset of the Martin County Sheriff's Office before they arrive. Huge advantage to our taxpayers, huge advantage to the people that they're serving. And another part of that, we didn't hit that very hard, but our training sessions. So some of our recruit training will take place with our instructors, right, going out there and doing some of these classes?
Yeah, so our training unit's been great. They have some of their training corporals that are going to go out there and help instruct some of the courses. And that's typically how it works with a police academy in general. You have instructors filling in for certain blocks. So since we had so many recruits there, it would probably be a good idea and behoove us to send some of our training corporals out there. They're going out there and they're going to contribute with some of that. And that way they can see firsthand and just get to know who they're going to be with, who they're going to learn from. As soon as they finish the academy, they're going to our training unit and we'll go through our new hire academy process.
Detective, thank you for your insight in this hiring process. You have a huge job going through 700 applications, seeing who they are in a snapshot, and then trying to get them through the process. I know you feel that, and sometimes you get them through, and sometimes they don't make it through, and that's frustrating for you, but we appreciate what you do day in and day out. To our public, you saw 15 of our recruits that are in training right now, plus 5 more that we are hoping to onboard here in the next couple months. It's been our mission to teach them the culture of Martin County. You're part of our culture. So as you see them out and about with their FTOs, there'll be 2 people in a car. If you see 2 people in a car, introduce yourselves. Tell them who you are. It's our mission to serve you, and the way we serve you is knowing who you are. So introduce yourselves and be a part of our team and welcoming our new deputies. We'll be right back.
My name is Sergeant Jacob Blazek, and this is my rapid fire.
Rock or pop?
Pop.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Flip-flops or barefoot?
Barefoot.
Cookout or restaurant?
Restaurant.
Ketchup or mustard?
Mustard.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Road trip or flight?
Flight.
Window or aisle?
Aisle.
Fireworks or sparklers?
Sparklers.
Camping or hotel?
Hotel.
And that is your rapid fire.
That is my rapid fire.
Welcome back, and I want to talk for the next few minutes about our SWAT team and their capabilities. Recently, our road patrol units responded down to the south end of Martin County at the Boy Scout camp. They responded down there after the ranger was shot at by a suspect who then left the area and went and barricaded himself in his mother's home. Road patrol did what they could. They set up a good perimeter. Aviation responded. They tried to make contact through a telephone, had a brief conversation, but basically any negotiation failed, and our road patrol did not go in the house, which is their proper tactics. Because of the situation and the fact that he'd already fired rounds, our SWAT team and hostage negotiation team was called out to try to mitigate the scenario. I want to talk about them real quick. We have spent a lot of time and money getting the right people to be on that team. Our SWAT team are the best of the best, personally as people, and then their equipment and their training is right there along with them. So we've spent money on their gear, their rifle vests, their rifles, their night vision goggles, their robots, the drones, the aviation equipment that helps them link to ground surveillance, and all the things that go into them. They're equipped with the equipment, and they're able to respond out there and mitigate scenarios like this that road patrol just doesn't have the time and the ability to do given their job function. So in this case, SWAT responded out there with hostage negotiation. And let me take a little detour there for a minute. Hostage negotiation, their job is to try to make contact and provide an off-ramp and a solution for the suspect before we go operational tactical. SWAT's job at the end of the day is to protect people. That's the neighborhood, that's themselves, that's our fellow deputies, and really that's the suspect if they have the ability to do it. If the suspect chooses otherwise, trust me, SWAT is well prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Let's watch the video real quick of the takedown of the suspect. So what you see here is road patrol. They're on the perimeter, helping with the perimeter. You see aviation and a drone up there flying. And now they're pulling up, after negotiations have failed, they're pulling up in their armored vehicle, which is rifle rated. So it gives the SWAT team the ability to pull up, get right there in the front door of the residence without any real risk to themselves. Also on the front of that Bearcat there that you're looking at is a breaching tool. So in this case, they breached the front door, and you see the suspect now coming out and surrendering to our takedown team. We've noticed over the years that there's some psychology that goes into this. People are tough when they're sitting behind their doors and their AC's running and life is good, but as soon as the front doors are moved from the front of their house, they seem to switch gears psychologically and realize that we're going to get them out and we have the ability to do it. And in this case, you saw how those tools ended in a safe arrest of our suspect. Again, our goal is to save lives. We can kick indoors, we can slam people, we can throw flashbangs, we can shoot guns, we can do all the above. But our goal is to keep lives safe. And our SWAT team are extremely thoughtful. You think about SWAT going in fast and rapid. Their job actually is to slow the action down and think of solutions, tactical solutions to mitigate scenarios so they can keep our public safe and their fellow teammates safe. As we wrap up, I want to highlight 2 of our employees that went above and beyond. Sadly, just before Christmas, we had a house fire in the Monterey section. Deputy Kevin Fritchie, Deputy Corporal Fritchie actually, responded and was unable, unfortunately, to put the fire out before an animal was lost in that fire. Thankfully, the family was out. They were actually at church and no lives were lost. But the family, of course, was grieving the loss of their house and then the loss of one of their pets. While this family was grieving their loss of their pet, Corporal Fritchie and Animal Control Officer Michelle Thuney realized something they could do to make a difference in that family's life. They took their deceased animal, they made arrangements, they paid for this animal to be properly cremated, and they brought that animal back so that family could properly grieve and dispose of the remains of their beloved animal just before Christmas. Again, these are terrible times. It was terrible timing, but our employees saw an opportunity to take care of somebody, and they did it on their own time. They did it with their own money, and those are the kind of people that we have here at the Martin County Sheriff's Office. And I want to thank both of them personally for their sacrifice, their thoughtfulness, and their desire to make Martin County a better place by doing small things. This is a huge thing to that family. It's a small thing in light of a lot of other things they do operationally. But I want to thank them for going above and beyond. As we wrap up, I want to remind you yet again that I'm not the only one that works here. We have the best team of 630 employees that go day in and day out taking care of you, the citizens of Martin County. And I'm proud of what they do. I'm thankful that I can represent them. I'm thankful that we can serve you, the citizens of Martin County.